Good morning, afternoon, and evening to you all. My name is aeightBee and welcome to the Macedonian Recap, a show that will last one episode cause I can't seem to grasp any sort of consistency in anything I ever do. With that being said, this show will recap on all the things going on in Macedonian football, whether if it's players abroad, or even top scorers leaving the top division, which takes me to our first topic for today. We begin the recap with a look at what deals were made during January, and none were bigger than the departure than Dembo Darbo's transfer away to Belarusian side Shakhtar Soligorsk, which makes me sad knowing that the Belarusian league is seen as more prestigious than ours. But hey, at least players aren't flocking to join Latvian sides like RFS Misevski and Pop Zlatanov have left FK bankrupt for Latvian side RFS. For fuck's sake. Though I don't blame them for leaving a club that can't even afford to buy a bag of Haribos, I still can't believe it that Latvian sides are more financially stable than the shitfest that is the MFL. Speaking of players leaving the bankrupt Vardar, Matijas Vetanovski has joined Shkupi to replace the departing Darbo, although the likelihood of him being beaten up has also increased tenfold for leaving to Shkupi specifically. We also have the move of Boban Nikolov to FC Lecce in the second tier of Italian football, which was followed by a subsequent and appropriate rebrand. But all these moves in contrast aren't as big as the announcement that Macedonian international and white Usain Bolt Stefan Ristovski has joined Dinamo Zagreb for €1.2 million to escape the torture that is the Sporting Lisbon reserves. Here is live footage of the reactions of Rijeka fans at this move. On to the next topic on the agenda, the performances of our beloved internationals. To start things off, let's talk about the most obvious match of them all, Genoa vs Napoli, or more to the point, Goran Pandev vs Elif Elmas. The old versus the new, the elite versus the up and coming, and it was Pandev who made Napoli look like Serie B fodder. I'm saying it here, to make sure everyone hears it, Goran Pandev is the best thing to happen to Genoa, period. The year could be 2050 and Pandev would still be keeping Genoa up in the Serie A as manager. He could lose both his legs in a car crash, and he'd still manage to score goals with his illustrious head. It's a crime against humanity that this sexy bastard hasn't won a Ballon d'Or, never mind being nominated for one. You have to commend the generosity of the Napoli side to hand Pandev 2 more goals on his way to 100 Serie A goals, which is a possible achievement for him given the fact that there are still 17 more rounds left on the calendar. Other than Lord Pandev's greatness, Elmas had a decent showing for the Blues, even if he had no real efforts at goal, though he should still be given more of a chance with how his recent performances have shown he can be a real goal-scoring threat with enough game time on his hands. Meanwhile in Spain, and Enis Bardi is proving to be the greatest Albanian player since Artem Shaqiri, with an assist to beat Real Madrid in La Liga. Let's also not forget his free kick equalizer against Valladolid in the Copa del Rey to take them to the quarterfinals. Speaking of the Copa del Rey, Stola Dimitrievski had a decent going against Barcelona, but ultimately it wasn't enough to stop Lionel Messi and De Jong from slotting in goals against him to beat Rayo 2-1. Other than that, he's been doing good in Spain's second tier, with a decent stream of good saves and clean sheets to put him in the starting lineup in the more recent matches. Across to the United Brexit we go, where Aliaski is doing an okay job in the starting lineup for Leeds, after securing his spot there during December. It's unfortunate that he's been used more as a defensive option by Bucketman Bielsa, because his defensive abilities are as prominent as Zakov's. But hey, what are you going to do about it? At least he's amongst the small amount of Macedonian players who are getting constant game time for their teams. Other than all that, Trijkovski is scoring hat-tricks in Cyprus, Shishkovski is conceding in Cyprus, and Majovski is uncharacteristically silent in Hungary. We now move to the performances of Macedonian clubs in recent weeks, and with it being the mid-season break, all that's been happening now is just a bunch of friendlies. Among some of the more ambitious friendly matches come from Silex, who managed to lead at halftime against Shakhtar Donetsk. Wait, what? Silex were beating Shakhtar Donetsk at halftime. Then someone tell me how the fuck they lost 2-1 versus some farmers from Kosovo, which ironically, I predicted back in my first alternative commentary. We are finally back to watching the Balkans' least promising league, and yes, I'm aware that Kosovan football exists, but then reality set in, and the Kratovo side lost 4-1 by the end of the game, so at least we know that 2021 is still normal to some degree. Other than Silux, Macedonia decided to give playing way stronger teams a go, and naturally it didn't lead to any positive results. Like, how the fuck are you going to think that you can stroll into CSKA Sofia with the idea of beating them? Some teams like Rabotnički Renova and Borax kept it safe by playing domestic sides, while Belašiša did the impossible. They won a game. Though then again, this is Plachkovica and Kosovo we're talking about, so it's no real surprise. Shkandia failed in their conquest of Ukraine. Shkup somewhat held themselves together against some Russian top division sides, and Vardar couldn't afford friendlies to save their life. And as I'm writing this script, Palestra and Pobeda are playing in a friendly, so if we don't beat those green ass sons of bitches, I swear I will throw a temper tantrum. And now we've reached the end of our recap of Macedonian football so far. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and tell me what I can do to improve the quality of these sorts of videos. With that being said, this was aeightBee.